Hi everybody, this is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with Week 7 of college football. I've uploaded this and my Pro one in I guess it got into a different directory. So if you're a subscriber to Teaserking, you don't see it in my mix. If you were to go into just search Teaserking, you would see some college, NCAA, and Week 6 pros. But I'm going to redo Week 7 for you in college. Week 6 pros, there wasn't that much there, but please, I hope you can watch it. And then going forward, I'll make sure they're in the right directory. Basically, I've upgraded the computer, and I went into just regular YouTube and did it, and somehow it got out of my channel. So anyway, I'm redoing this, but from going forward it'll be fine. So let's talk about Week 7 in college. Had Western Kentucky tonight as a lock. They were laying, at the point I bet them was 32. And it's funny how as soon as I set out a lock and say it's 32, the game goes to 34-35. It's very important that as soon as you see the game that you like this game, there was no way there was money going on North Texas. So the spread actually started, I guess, at 28, like Sunday, and then by Monday or Tuesday it was 32. I made the bet on Tuesday at 32. As part of my lock, it's in 2 teasers. And then the spread goes up. So you must try to get the spread early. If you have difficulty, I would suggest getting on 2 or 3 sites. In Vegas, the Win has, you can bet the next week's game Sunday night at the Win and Monday at the Venetian. And what I've noticed is the spread will come out at when I was there Labor Day, Cal was laying 7 to San Diego State, and by the next day it had went up to 12. And what I'm noticing is if you know who you want and you see it, there's a tremendous advantage, especially over or unders, which I think come out Monday or Tuesday in Vegas. But just the regular spread, it's like here, Western Kentucky was 28, you tease it down to 22, it's a joke. I got it at 32, I wanted to keep it under 28. Just so happens they win by 27, 55-28, because North Texas scores with 20 seconds left in the game. I still got the W at the 26 mark, but if you bet it at 34 and you're laying 28, you lose. And you shouldn't have. Again, you should have got that in at 28 or 29, but it just shows you how quickly they move the line. And I'm really getting tired of hearing about guys who pick and they go, well, Vegas has put it in, so it's so strange, it's such a strange line, and I'm going the other way, or I don't like, it's got to be a trap. Why is the line so low or so high? And the first rule you have to understand is the line makes the betting even. That's it. Vegas isn't doing a trick. If they make a team a road favorite by 3, it's to get the betting even. They're not coming up with anything at all. It's not scientific. They don't know what's happening. They want even money bet on the game, and they put the spread out so there's even money bet. That's it. There's no traps. This team's a 3-point road favorite, so therefore something's wrong with that spread. So I'm going to take I should take the favorite, but I'm going to take the dog because the spread's too low. That's insane. As you can see, as I just made a point, the line changes 5-6 points here. In most of these games, the line that starts is not the line that finishes. You can see the line move 3-4 points in a day. Western Kentucky was 32.5, I think, yesterday. I know it was Tuesday. That's when I made the lock. And today it moved from 32.5 to 34.5. So, the line is just even betting. That's all it is. So when you're analyzing these and listening to people that analyze, please understand that it's got nothing to do. Vegas is all they care about is getting $1 million on one team, $1 million on the other, and winning $100,000 in juice. That's all they care about. There is no setups, and anybody that analyzes and says hey, you know what? I'm gonna something looks wrong with the spread, so I'm gonna do it. Now, when I do it, I'm noticing the line is wrong, not that there's a problem with the line. So there's a big difference in what I do and everybody else, because I'm making my own line what the actual spread should be, not what the betting makes it even like what Vegas does. So that's the huge difference in what Teaserking does versus these other people. Because I'll say that several times. Let's go to a game right now, and I'm going to tell you, Michigan's laying 8 to Michigan State, and I'm going to tell you right now that line is wrong. Now, the line is there to make the betting even. Now, why is the line so high? Is because of Harbaugh. And Michigan's more popular than Michigan State. That's why the line is, there's no way that's the correct line. I know the correct line. Correct line is Michigan State favored by 3 points in this game. Yes, Michigan State looks worse, but they've won every game, and they match up very well to Michigan here. And Michigan really hasn't played a really good quarterback except for week 1. This will be their best quarterback they have faced against. So basically they're playing teams that just, run the ball into a run-stop defense. It's basically the Stanford defense. And that's what's happening here. So here's where I'm taking advantage of a wrong spread. Why is the spread high? Is because of Vegas. Now, I don't sit there and analyze the spread going, that spread should only be 3. Michigan's favored by 8. I'm going to take Michigan because the spread should only be 3. They must know something in Vegas. No. It has nothing to do with anything. The betting is even. It's gone from 7, 7.5, up to 8, back to 7.5. You can get some 8s. Take Michigan State and 14 in a teaser. First of all, this is the Stanford offense and defense they're facing. And who did they beat in the Rose Bowl 2 years? Michigan State beat Stanford with the same offense and defense. Basically, they beat them 24-20. Guess who was quarterbacking? Connor Cook. Michigan State, they've got the receivers. The running backs are a little weaker without Langford. A couple of injuries on their offensive line. Their defense looks good, but not as dominant as it's been with when Darkus Denard was there in the no-fly zone, where nobody could, you couldn't even complete passes against it. So it's not as dominating, and Narduzzi's at Pitt, the defensive coordinator. So they've had to make a little adjustments, but they know how to win. And they have not lost this year, and their biggest game was Oregon, and they won. And I'm sorry, Oregon's a better team than Michigan. Michigan's got a good defense, and they've played a lot of weak offenses. Vegas, Maryland, Northwestern has no offense at all. They're a great defensive team, and they run the ball. But all these teams run the ball. Vegas runs the ball. Northwestern runs the ball. Maryland, I don't know what they've got going on. Oregon State's terrible. The one team that was fairly decent was Utah, and Michigan lost to Utah. So let's look at what's happening here. So I rate this game dead even, okay? Maybe Michigan State slightly, but let's say it's not. Game's at Michigan, so Michigan by 3. Do you honestly think Michigan's going to win this game straight up? You get the points, Michigan wins. I can't say that. Michigan State is undefeated, and they're a better overall team. They're a better rounded team. They get the better quarterback. There's no comparison there. Coaching, you give to Harbaugh. Defense, a little bit to Michigan. I know Michigan State looks sloppy, but it's hard to get motivated. They won at Rutgers when they weren't playing well. They still won at Rutgers. Cook's a winner. He knows how to win. There's no way Michigan goes and beats them 24-0. It's not. There's no way that's going to happen. You're not going to shut out Michigan State here. All the big games Michigan was in, even against Baylor. Baylor's got a hell of a defense. They might score 100 points a game, but their defense is good. Against Stanford in the Rose Bowl, like I said, Michigan found a way to win. Michigan State found a way to win, and so they know how to beat this defense. Cook will be on. The receivers have been good. The running backs need to get a little better, but I'm sure Michigan State's defense now, there's no quarterback on Michigan. Let's not forget that. They run the ball, and you cannot just run the ball on Michigan State. Look what happened to Oregon, who's a much better running team than Michigan, and they couldn't really do anything. Take Michigan State in the 14 in the teaser. I played it with Western Kentucky already, so I got half of it in. And I played this in 2 or 3 teasers. And that's the key when you really get a strong teaser. Western Kentucky was played in 2 teasers. Michigan State's played in 2 teasers. That's how you play teasers. The other thing I do is, let's say I have the first game and I lose it, but I really love the second game of the teaser. So maybe I play a college team. Let's say I play, I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm going to say, let's say I played Arizona -2 against Colorado. I didn't play this. This is an example. And then I play it with Green Bay -4 to San Diego. Let's say I love Green Bay -4. And Arizona loses. Colorado upsets them. But I still have Green Bay out there -4 in the teaser. And I still love that teaser. So what I tend to do, and this is what I do live on my site, I'm not like the regular handicapper who posts his game on Wednesday and says, see you later, and whatever happens, happens. I'm very interactive and very live. So I might, Saturday night comes along, and I might like the Saturday night game at 8 o'clock and see what happens during the day. If I'm hot, I might play the Saturday night game, even though I didn't play it early. Also, I'll be there if I do lose the Arizona game to Colorado, but I like Green Bay. I'll play Green Bay either with a late game in college or with a pro game, and I'll play them, let's say, with Minnesota, and I'll say, oh, okay, I still like Green Bay, I'm going to play them again. The other thing you can do is if you win the first half and you win the Arizona, and now you got Green Bay -4, you can trap it, and you can come in with San Diego in 10, or maybe it goes to 11, and you got the trap going on where you can't lose both sides, and you could win both. And I did that on Monday night or Sunday night with the Giants. I had them in a lock laying 1 with Atlanta. I loved it as it got going. I was winning everything. I didn't want to hurt my day, so I trapped the game. I took Frisco in 7 or 7.5, the Giants -1, and as it turned out, I hit the trap. I wasn't even expecting it. It was more insurance. But as it turned out, I ended up hitting the trap, winning both sides of it. So that's just extra, and you can't lose both sides because one of the teams, because of the 6-point differential, you're going to win 1 and lose 1. So that's what happens there. So anyway, just a few teaser notes. So let's move on to some other picks. Let's look at Baylor laying 21 to West Virginia. I can play this game 2 ways. I can play it over, the over-under 75 down to 69, or I can play Baylor laying 15 or West Virginia +27. Well, okay, first, there's no way I'm playing West Virginia +27 because, first of all, it's a revenge game. Secondly, Baylor at home is like ungodly, like 18-0 in a teaser. They win and win and win. It's like Green Bay at home. It's quiet for the offense, and they just bomb away, and they've got such a beautiful offense, great play. They can run the ball, and so if they get up in a big lead, they run it down your throat. They got a very good defense. West Virginia, I finally saw them play a real team. They hadn't really played anybody. You couldn't get a feel of them. Well, they go ahead and play Oklahoma at Oklahoma and lose by 20. Then they play Oak State at home and lose. They were down a little bit, so they don't seem to be scoring. Here, good luck, because Baylor's going to pound them. Plus, it's a revenge game. It's the only game Baylor lost and kept them out of the playoff last year. You'd be sure Baylor's going to be pissed. West Virginia really doesn't show a lot of offense. Baylor's going to score on anybody. They'll put up 50, 60 on TCU. Forget about it. Baylor's going to put up 50, 60 here, and West Virginia cannot keep up with it. Lay the 15. As far as the over-under, I don't know how good an offense West Virginia has. And, Baylor will probably get the 50 on their own, which leaves, what do you do with West Virginia if you think they're going to, I don't think they're going to score, so I'd rather lay the 15. If you think West Virginia, now if it was TCU, who you know is going to score, you go over with the game because you can't trust the 15. But here, I feel very comfortable laying the 15. Another key game. Here's another example of another method I use. Washington State is laying 8 to Oregon State. And Washington State still has, Mike Leach is the coach, still throws the ball all over the place. They've been having a little bit of trouble with turnover. Against Cal, they turned it over 4 or 5 times. But Oregon State's very bad this year. The new coach, he's okay. I like the coach, Anderson from Wisconsin, who used to be at Utah State. And Utah State, they covered all the time. But here, Oregon State's just terrible. They've been losing. I don't know if they've won a game. They have really no offense. Washington State is going to put up at least 30 points just because they throw the ball very accurately. Good quarterback. They score a lot. Oregon State cannot keep up here. The game's at Washington State. Now the over-under is 62. I almost like it under because I don't think Oregon State's going to score much. And Washington State's showing a good defense because they held Cal at 34, and then they go ahead and they beat Oregon on a, they caught them and then beat them in overtime. No hangover here. I think Washington State, the chance to get the, take the win over Oregon and go with it. I love Washington State -2 here. All they got to do is win at home against a very weak Oregon State team. That was kind of the premise tonight with Western Kentucky and North Texas. North Texas is a terrible team. They have a bad offense and they're very weak. And I didn't think they'd score. There's no way I thought they'd put up 28. But I did feel that Western Kentucky's going to put up at least 60, I thought. So I didn't play the game over. I played Western Kentucky. Because I didn't feel North Texas would score here. I don't feel Washington State's going to score, but or Oregon State's going to score. I know Washington State will put up 30, 40, but Oregon State, I just don't have I don't think they have a good quarterback or a good offense. So I'm going to lay away from the over/under and go take Washington State -2. Another good game that I like, another method here, Ohio laying 4 to Western Michigan. I've been tracking the MAC a lot more carefully than I ever have, and my whole theory of overs and under team, ranking teams over teams and under teams has been really, really helpful. In this case, you got an under team in Ohio that you don't score a lot, and they have a good defense playing Western Michigan, who scores in bunches, and their defense isn't as good. Anytime I get to this game, I like the high-scoring team as the dog, basically because Ohio, they're not going to score that much, but Western, they can score. I like the line, Ohio -4. I get Western Michigan in 10. They have a good quarterback. They have a very good receiver. I think their running back's out, but they probably replaced him. All right, their defense isn't that great, but Ohio really was not going to take too much advantage of it. They don't have that offense. So here's a perfect place where you take Western Michigan plus the 10, a very good high-scoring team. They just beat Central Michigan last week in a shootout. I'm not going to stay away from the over/under because I can't trust Ohio to score. Ohio's not an over team, so that takes the over/under play out of it. If Ohio was playing a weak team like Akron, then it's an under, and they played a 14-12 or 12-10 game. And that's my whole point, and that's what's working beautifully. So when I get a good over as a dog, I'm going to jump all over it. That leads me to Washington laying 4 or 3.5 to Oregon. It's the same scenario. A good defensive team. They don't score that much. They beat USC 17-12. But look, they only scored 17 on USC, and they got plenty of turnovers. But they don't have a good quarterback. They're not going to score. Oregon, first of all, Oregon should win this game. I know they got their second or third string quarterback in, and they're loaded at running back. So the fact that one kid's injured really doesn't have a bearing here. It's not like they don't have other running backs or receivers. Oregon has generally killed Washington. I'm not saying they're going to pound them here, but I do like the Oregon getting 9 or 9.5 points. Like I said, the backup running backs would be starting at Washington. I'm not really worried about that. It's a very strong dog in a game that they always win. So I'll take Oregon plus the 9.5. Ohio State went from 17 to 18.5 against a weak Penn State offense and good Penn State defense. This is the game Ohio State needs. They've been playing weak teams and just sleeping through them, but here they're kind of scared. When the real good team kind of gets scared because they might lose is when they get dangerous. And I think you're going to finally see Ohio State go wild Last year they played Penn State. They had them 17-0, and it went overtime 17 all because Barrett threw an interception, and they all of a sudden couldn't move the ball. It's not what you're going to see here. First of all, games in Ohio State, it's not a whiteout. It's funny, Ohio State probably never has a red out or a scarlet out or a gray out because they don't need it. I mean, Penn State, oh, we're going to have a whiteout, or this team has a blackout, or Notre Dame wears green jerseys, you know, anything to win. Ohio State doesn't need it. They're just class. I think Ohio State, you know, lay the 12.5. As long as you keep it under 14. Penn State just doesn't have the offense. Their defense is okay, but you're not going to stop Ohio State, and they're scared, and they're at home. You know, they might lose to Penn State. They're number one. That's the motivation they need, and you're going to watch them play at a much higher level. When you get scared, you play at a higher level, and they're gonna, you know, I don't know. They'll win probably by 20. They'll get in the 40s, maybe the upper 30s. Penn State's not going to score that much. They just can't. Notre Dame USC, I find this is a real strange game that I really am trying to figure out here. At first I like Notre Dame anyway, without the coach leaving. Then the coach gets fired, Sarkisian. I always thought he was a bad coach anyway. Well, I guess if you're coaching drunk, you're not sure what team you got. You know, so I'm thinking Notre Dame wins the game. I'm thinking that it could go over. Now the over-under went from 60 to 61. We can knock it down to 55, and if we analyze the score, USC will probably get 20 points, 25 points. Notre Dame probably ends up in the 30s. We look at USC Stanford. Stanford put up 40 points on them, and USC scored 30. And if USC can score 30 on the Stanford team, they can score 30 on Notre Dame. And Notre Dame scores with the best of them, especially at home. They seem to play a lot better and score more. They're more of an over team. I honestly like this game over more than I like Notre Dame. I have no hint of taking USC. They don't show me anything. They lack the defense to really win a big game. Notre Dame's got an excellent defense, and I like Brian Kelly is a very good offensive coach. He's always been that way. They run more of a spread offense. They're going to take the bull by the horns. I think the best way to play this game is over because USC has a pretty good they got a good quarterback and good receivers. They could possibly win the game. Who knows what's going on there with the coach? But I think Notre Dame wins, but I don't think Notre Dame blows them out. So therefore, I can't take Notre Dame even. USC in 12 I don't like because it's at Notre Dame, but I know they both can score. So I think the best way to play this game is over 55. And that's the beauty of this whole new system I have. Not even a system, just different methods connecting. And you basically have two pretty over teams, and you basically, it's hard to pick the winner here. I'm scared to take USC at 12.5 because of the coach situation, so that makes it. But I really think Notre Dame even's going to win. Well, that's a lot of risk. I mean, USC's got a lot of talent, but it's quarterback, it's offensive talent, not defense. So go over on that. I'll give you another good game. Bowling Green laying 11 to Akron. Take Bowling Green, cut it to 5. Bowling Green is using the Baylor offense, very explosive. Akron's kind of a weak team. They have a decent defense, but Bowling Green's at home, and I just don't see Akron keeping up with them scoring-wise. The over-under is 67, and I can see Bowling Green getting up there, but I don't see Akron keeping up and scoring a lot. They're more of an under team than an over team. So when I got Bowling Green playing an under team, I'm afraid to go over. So therefore, I must take Bowling Green because I still think they're gonna, they'll cover 5, win by a touchdown. This is Bowling Green. They won. I love it. They won at Purdue. They won at Maryland, and they won at Buffalo. And that's a sign of a great team is when you go on the road, especially moving up in class against the Purdue and Maryland, who's not great, but they're still Big Ten talent. And going on the road and winning, they'll have no problem winning here. But again, here's where the over-under is 67, and I think it's just too high because I don't think Akron scores that much. So I don't want to go over, but I hate to take a Bowling Green and go under because they could explode and score 60 points. So you want to be careful there. But Bowling Green puts a lot of points on the board. Let's go one more, and it's a really good play. It's a really creative play. Texas Tech laying 31 to Kansas. Over under 76. Kansas gave up, I think, 50 or 60 points to Memphis, losing by 30. Baylor put up a 60 on them. I don't know if TCU got them yet, but they're going to get them. It shows these good passing teams, like a Memphis, who's a great passing team, and Baylor, both killed them at Kansas. Both put up 50, 60 points. Texas Tech knows how to throw the ball. That's been proven already. They got a great quarterback, Mahomes. Kansas, both their first two quarterbacks are out, so the third stringer, who can't be any good because they stink, and they would have had this kid in already. And maybe he's a freshman, I don't know. You never know in college who comes in. But the other reason I really love the game, besides the matchup, Kansas isn't going to score a lot and Texas Tech will, is the fact Texas Tech actually needs this game for the bowl. This is a theory I use with, like, when Mississippi State plays Southern Miss, and I lock Mississippi State because they have to get the win because it's such a tough schedule in the SEC for Mississippi State that they got to get their win to get to the bowl, to get their 6 wins and have a real good season. So they have to win that Southern Miss game. So it's not like you're going to let down because it's Southern Miss. This is the same thing. Texas Tech must win this game because they've got Oklahoma coming up, and they got Oklahoma State and Kansas State. They got 3 games they could easily lose this game, and then they got Texas at the end. Well, they should beat Texas, but Texas beat Oklahoma. So you never know with Texas Tech, but this is the game that, okay, this gets them to, I think, 5 wins, and good luck finding the 6th one. Who are you going to beat? Kansas State, Oklahoma State? Who knows? They could beat them both, but they could lose to them. They look very strong. And then there's Texas. So I've got to beat Kansas because I got to get to a bowl. I got to win my 6 games. That means a lot to the fans and the boosters. Getting into that bowl, winning the 6 games. And I just see Texas Tech just wiping them out here. Probably a 50-point win. Kansas has no offense. And this is perfect because, you know, Texas Tech throws an interception or two. But I think it's like Western Kentucky tonight. They put up 55. You know, and they win the game easy. North Texas puts up 28 with a touchdown late, so maybe Kansas puts up 14, but I got to believe Texas Tech gets in the 50s and gets an easy win here. I'm going to give you one more because what the hell. UCF plays Temple. Temple is laying 21.5. I hope I didn't give this game out already. I might have given it in a different video that basically when I get a bad internet it kills it. So I'm going to be real quick with this. I like Temple under. UCF has no offense and a good defense. Temple's got a great defense, and their offense is getting a little better. I think they score on defense and special teams a lot, which you can't count on. Take this game under. Again, they're laying 21. Temple doesn't score that much. These are 2 under teams, so let's go under versus hoping Temple covers the 15 because I played them against UMass, and I think I laid 6 or 7, and they only won by 2, and that was my point. It's just very tough to do that. So take Temple in the under in the game, which 44 go under the 50. And let's see, any others. I want to talk about Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State. Mississippi State's laying 14. I think that's too big of a number here. Again, against Southern Miss laying 14, it's a lock. Louisiana Tech's a very good team, and I just think that number's too high. I don't say I love Louisiana Tech and the 20 because I hate playing Louisiana Tech against the SEC teams. The SEC teams have a way of, they have better players, but I do like Louisiana Tech. I think 20 is too much. If it goes over 20, if it goes to 15.5, and I don't think it will, it's been going down. Take, you know, Louisiana Tech in the 21.5. But at this point, definitely I just think Louisiana Tech gives them a game. They went to overtime at Kansas State, which showed me a lot there. And I think they lost at Memphis or Bowling Green. I think they lost to Memphis. So yeah, I think they're a road favorite at Memphis, and Memphis beat them. Or it was Western Kentucky, one of those type of offensive teams. Mississippi State doesn't have that passing offense, but I think Kansas State's as good as Mississippi State. So for Louisiana Tech to go to Kansas State and go to overtime, and now they go to Mississippi State, I'm not as scared of it as it would be. So take L-Tech and the 20. I think so. I'm talking myself into believing it's a better game. Not to be too afraid of Mississippi State because they went to Kansas State there. I think that's about it. I have a whole slew of games. I'm playing about 13 games, and another 4 or 5 over-unders. Some really big games: Alabama A&M, LSU Florida, Nebraska Mississippi, Oklahoma Kansas State. I've talked about Michigan State, Michigan, and Baylor. So there's a lot of good games. Please, if you have questions, ask me. Great week to buy my locks. I have 4 good locks going. Western Kentucky was the first one. We already got a W on that. And I got 3 other locks going. So it's a good week to either buy the locks or buy the college. You can buy the pro. Pros are a little tougher this week. They're not like pocket kings and aces like I had last week. It's a little bit tougher, but I'll find 4 or 5 good games to play. Not like I did last week. I went 7-1 last week. All right, everybody. Well, good luck. Again, go to just search Teaserking, and you'll see the pro one. But I wanted to tell everybody, and this shouldn't happen again. I bookmarked this page again. It was my computer was redone, and it must have went to just Howard instead of Teaserking. So I apologize for that, and I hope you don't have problems finding the pro one. And good luck, everybody. Again, www.teaserking.com. Play the locks, play the college, real strong this week, and the pros too. All right, everybody, good luck. Let's make some money this weekend.